Super Smash Bros. Is widely considered to be one of the most inspired crossovers of all time, which is especially thanks to its devoted director Masahiro Sakurai and his phenomenal skill in character design. No, not that kind of character design. I'm referring to their movesets, the way they move, the way they fight, the references, all of the things that are hidden from the first glance. The process of creating a Smash character is much more complex than one might think. It isn't as simple as think up a couple moves and slap them onto a character. Each and every one of the 22 plus moves that each character has must have synergy with each other. On top of that, thanks to the nature of Smash as a crossover, each moveset holds some kind of inspiration from that character's home series, or even more challenging to design, contains moves that seem inspired if there isn't enough material to base off of. Enter Captain Falcon. Now, the story of Captain Falcon's debut in Smash dates all the way back to the late 90s. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 was not originally meant to be the crossover giant it is today. In fact, not a single Nintendo character was originally featured in the game. On top of that, the characters featured were mechanically identical, simply being palette swaps of one another. This prototype was known as Dragon King: The Fighting Game. Now, once it was decided that this game would star Nintendo characters, which is an entire story within itself, the next step was to actually design the characters. The 8 pre-unlocked characters were all original creations that took inspiration from their original games, but the 4 secret characters were a different story. Aside from Ness, Sakurai picked characters that could pull from existing movesets in an effort to shorten development time. Luigi took his moveset directly from Mario with very few tweaks. Jigglypuff was chosen as the second Pokemon rep because it could reuse many of Kirby's animations. But what about the 4th? Captain Falcon's home series, F-Zero, did not provide any inspiration for his moveset, as racing games in this time period weren't really concerned with highly developed characters, and none of the pre-made characters really fit him. So if the choices for these unlockable characters were meant to shorten development time, why did they choose Captain Falcon? The developers didn't want their prototype's moveset to go to waste, so they went looking for a character who would fit the role, and lucky for them, Captain Falcon fit this mold perfectly. It fits so well that his signature move, Falcon Punch, became integral to the character both inside and outside of Smash, even being referenced in his home series. Another thing that the series is infamous for is known as the joke character. Excluding Smash 64, every game has featured at least one of these characters. One of these characters was introduced in Melee, being Pichu. Unlike every other joke character, Pichu is the only one specifically designed to be bad. Pichu takes his moveset directly from Pikachu with a few key differences. Pichu is lighter than Pikachu, making it easier to KO. On top of that, Pichu is slower than Pikachu, and, most importantly, it takes damage every time it uses an electric move. Every single move. And it adds up fast. Combine that with the low weight and lower speed, there's literally no reason to ever use this character over Pikachu. Ironically, Pichu isn't even the worst character in Melee, but that's something for another time. Now, let's talk about jumping. Throughout the series, the process of jumping has more or less stayed the same. By pressing the jump button, or tapping up if you enable tap jump, your character will jump into the air at a set height, which is dependent on 2 things: the character you're playing and how long you press the jump button. If you quickly tap the jump button, you will do a short hop, allowing you to do aerial attacks on grounded opponents. Note that the height of the jump doesn't scale. You either do a short hop or a full hop depending on how long you press the button. Now, the problem with this was that short hops were just annoying to input. It wasn't difficult per se, but it was inconsistent and made competitive play unnecessarily inaccessible. Thankfully, one of the first mechanics introduced in Ultimate was a shortcut used for short hopping. By pressing the jump button and attack button at the same time, regardless of how long you hold the button, your character will both short hop and attack at the exact same time. But all good things come with a caveat, because with accessibility comes spamability.
Jigglypuff.
In order to make this game as balanced as possible, a new change was added to the short hop. A decrease in overall attack strength while in the short hop state. 15% weaker, to be exact. But what does any of this have to do with moveset design? Well, to find that, we'll have to re-pivot back to Melee to take a look at Peach.
La 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 la.
Ever since Peach was introduced to the series, she's had a special ability exclusive to herself, a mid-air float. This mid-air float can be activated at any time so long as you land on the ground afterwards, and you can even attack while floating. And because you can even float while on the ground, this mechanic sort of acts like another short hop. And because this basically acts as another short hop, you would think that these float attacks would also be weakened, right? Now, why would these attacks not be treated like that of a short hop? Is it an oversight? Maybe, if they didn't notice it after 3 years of active patches, which doesn't seem that likely. It's likely in order to encourage the player to use this character's exclusive mechanic. This same concept is carried over to other characters. Lucario's special attacks physically change as his aura increases. Most of Kazuya's best moves were locked behind his vast number of command inputs, and Sora's ground speed is very not good to reward players for spending as much time in the air as possible. Nearly every character has something that most of their moveset somehow centers around, whether it's a certain gimmick, attribute, or generalized theme that fits the source material. Whatever they can do to make the character fun to play and also be memorable. This is how good fighting game characters are designed. A centralized theme or gimmick that provides a healthy balance between creativity and unobtrusiveness. This is the genius of Super Smash Bros.' character design.